on YouTube that you can see this stuff. And hopefully you'll be able to find us. Dun, dun, dun. My channel. Aha! Good, 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 good. We're live on YouTube, so you can find me. Good, good, good. Aha. All right, I'm going to go over to Facebook, tell everybody that's where we're at. Okay, one moment. You guys are so good to me. Thank you. Okay. Over on YouTube live, YouTube streaming live now. Okay. Streaming live now. Okay, good. All right. Well, that's certainly exciting, isn't it? That's very exciting. I don't see anybody here yet, but that's okay. And we're going to get this sorted out and organized. Well, that's exciting. Hey, hi, Dina. I'm glad you made it. I'm glad this is working out. You know, it's always good to have backups for everything. I did a live stream this morning, and it didn't, for whatever reason, it didn't pull over or it didn't do anything. So something I did yesterday triggered Facebook to say that I am a threat in some way and abusing people. So who knows? Anyways, let's get into today. Everybody's going to watch it later. I'm glad you're here. We know this works. This is functioning. Woohoo! Okay, so today's exciting. It's about intuition. And, you know, a couple days ago, I decided to keep some of these videos on YouTube. And I thought it would be the smartest way to go so that it wasn't just on Facebook. So I did that and I had it all set up. And then today with with Facebook finding me abusive in some weird, sad way, I had this already as the backup. So intuition was working perfectly. So the neat thing about intuition, Dina, since you're here, and everybody else who's, you know, going to be joining us hopefully soon, is that it has to do with your ability to hear what your body is saying to you. And when you stop feeling so stressed, when you stop feeling disconnected, when your emotions stop kind of pushing your buttons and making you feel crazy, that you feel trapped kind of in a circle, when that happens, when you're distracted like that, you can't hear your intuition. You can't hear what's going on because it's just way too loud inside your body. And when we start to, you know, shine a flashlight into the corners of the dark, and I think we talked about that yesterday, when we start to shine a flashlight into those corners, hey, Jenny's here too. Yay, you found us. Oh my God, Facebook found me abusive. Crazy. Something I did yesterday made Facebook find me abusive. So I'm glad we had this. I already had this backup set up, Jenny. It was pretty cool. It was already set up. So it was a switch over that I realized was a problem with at 9:30 this morning. So today we're talking about intuition. Jenny's going to be on, as well as a friend of hers who is a hypnotist. Now, I love hypnotism because it works with the wiring of your brain, which I'm a total nerd about. And so we're working on rewiring your nervous system. We're working on rewiring your brain. We're going to kind of shine that flashlight around in the dark and find the things that you've buried. Find the treasures. I like to think about it that way. Intuition is where you get better intuition when you keep finding the treasures of your intuition, which are hiding behind your emotions. So when you've had hard things happen to you, your emotions actually get in the way of your intuition because they're so loud, because they take up so much space in your consciousness. But when you start to get those emotions out of your way, when you start to haven and TAT and listen to new things and shine the flashlight around and get new information in your brain, when you get that, you get really great intuition. So yeah, most of us have buried a lot. Most of us feel like we're held back, as if our heart wants to do something else, our brain wants to do something else. But what happens is we can't. We're like physically trapped and we can't move forward. Our bodies are like betraying us and we feel stuck. That's why I got so excited, and that's why my intuition got so much better when I really understood how the nervous system played the role in emotional health. And so when I started to realize it was literally like flipping a light switch to get these stress chemicals off of my body, I became a mad woman. I did. I started looking for every experience I could that would trigger me. It was kind of crazy. And I would get all of these. I'd almost look for things to push my buttons so that I could haven and so that I could TAT, because I wanted this stuff off of my system as fast as possible. I was like, nothing's going to hold me back now. So I had to unbury these emotions, all the stuff all the helplessness and anger and hurt and fear and insecurities, all the stuff that I buried, I had to bring up. Now, the cool thing about uncovering your intuition like this, and it's literally an uncovering, the neat thing about it is you start to remember things you thought you'd forgotten, because they're behind those walls of emotions. They're behind those walls of memories, hard, painful memories. They're hiding there. There's like this diamond mine behind those reactions that you have. And so when you start to really apply these tools in a way that takes your power back, your intuition just gets polished, and suddenly you see this flow that's around you, and you feel confident enough to have things happen like Facebook kicks you off, to have something happen like you're abusive, you have to do something else. I mean, it's really sort of nutty. When you do this, the way that we're doing it this week, where you listen to something you're curious about, you let it trigger you a little bit, you get the trigger off of your system, suddenly you see the world differently. That's exactly what's happening. And you're able to hear your intuition. But it's going to look like a little bit of, it's going to feel a little dramatic. Because when you were a kid, your emotions felt very big, right? And naturally, understandably, you were helpless. You were in a bad spot. So your emotions felt humongous. And when you bury them, they're still humongous. They're still big. They're still dramatic. They're still overwhelming. There's still, Godzilla coming into New York. And so these buried emotions start to come up, and you're like, why am I so angry? And I don't have a problem with it. And you go, why am I so assertive? And I don't have a problem with it. You start to uncover who you really are, who you were supposed to be all along. And just by going through this stuff that we're doing that seems weird, and is it working, and how long do I have to do it, and when do I do it again, and what is it called, and where does it look like? It's about taking all that stuff and getting it off of your system and being able to hear yourself think again. It's almost like unzipping a suit of who you were forced to be in order to survive. And now you're unzipping the suit and you're stepping out and you're becoming the person you were supposed to be all along. And that person that's underneath all of those buried emotions is your intuition. You, your authentic self, is the same thing as your intuition. So the key is about uncovering your authentic self. So today we're going to do it with a few people, and I'm going to keep this running because I don't want to screw things up. Tina just got here, which is exciting. I don't want to I don't want to cause problems. We have too many problems already. So, what am I thinking? So, oh yeah, we've got Tina. Tina's going to talk about how you bring your body, mind, spirit together. And literally when you do, weight comes off. It's kind of crazy and neat. When you get in alignment with yourself, when you get in balance with yourself, you have less cortisol. And because you have less cortisol, your body doesn't hang on to the weight as much. So becoming a peaceful, loving, spiritual person, working through these emotions like you are, making them a priority actually helps you lose weight. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And then after that's going to be Jenny and Renee. We're going to have a triad conversation about psychics and your word of the year. And then we'll take a lunch break. And then this afternoon, who is this afternoon? Oh, Deb's going to be here, and she's going to do a group healing. That'll be very exciting. And then my sister's coming for the last slot of the day, the last speaking slot of the day. And she's going to be hanging out with Rochelle, the interior designer. So it's going to be a super fun day. We're going to see what sort of conversations come out. And it's about bringing spirit. Where do genius ideas come from? And they come from spirit, of course. Where does insight and amazing ideas and innovation come from? Your authentic self, of course. And so having that conversation about how different women uncover their authentic self, how they have found their genius, their path to shining their diamond, so that maybe you can find yours too. You can start finding the things that work, because it's not about following somebody else. It's about doing what's right for you. And that's the key. Okay, so I'm going to let Tina in. It's going to be super exciting. Okay. Hi, Tina. We are already live streaming, because I'm anxious to stop live streaming because Facebook called my stuff abusive. And so I'm live streaming to YouTube.
So are you talking to me?
Yes. Okay. So I'll start over.
I'm sorry, I put on audio.
No, that's fine. Oh, you look beautiful today. Oh my gosh, you look lovely for an intuition day. So this morning I went on to do my morning live stream, and it seemed fine. It didn't show me anything. And then I started my 9:30 to launch the day. And I went to the Facebook page to be like, oh, am I live streaming? Blah, blah, blah. And there was nothing there. And there was nothing there. And there was nothing there. There's nothing there. So finally I poked around, and I discovered that something I did yesterday made Facebook ban me. Somebody said that something that I said was abusive, and Facebook banned me from live streaming or from streaming to the Facebook page. So intuitively, a couple days ago, I had also set it up so that I'd be streaming to a YouTube channel. So everybody who's here today is watching us on the YouTube channel right now, not the Facebook page.
Okay, got it.
And they're commenting. They're commenting on the YouTube channel. So I'm still following comments. I'm still following everything that's happening. So if you wanted to look at what everybody says later,
Okay.
the link to the YouTube channel is on the Facebook page. And you can just go over to that YouTube channel. Dina says, hello, beautiful ladies. See, it's all working out. It's all working out fine. So I wanted to talk to you today about, because you're doing a challenge on weight loss, right?
Yes.
And today's all about intuition and spirit. And I think those are really important keys to being healthy and losing weight. Is that kind of accurate?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like when we don't listen to our gut, because intuition is really our gut feeling, right? We often get, our mind gets in the way, and we start doing things that don't intuitively make sense for us to do, like maybe some sort of fad diet, or some keto diet or something like that, that isn't sustainable in long term. And so intuitively, if you just kind of say, okay, what is good for my body, and listen to your body, to what nourishes it, and it's going to help you lose the weight, then you're going to become a lot more successful with your weight loss than trying to, go with your mind, go in the conscious, with your conscious mind, and saying, you know what, so-and-so said that this is the way I need to lose weight. Intuitively, it just doesn't make sense for you. So
when I was a kid, I'd had a lot of stress, and because of the stress, I didn't have very good intuition. I had terrible intuition because I always felt anxious. If I wasn't anxious, I was depressed, or I was reacting to something, and my body would just sort of shut down. And weight loss actually wasn't a problem for me because I was never digesting anything, because I was always so contracted that my gut didn't work very well. And my intuition didn't work very well either. And I kind of developed this thing that I did was, if it scares me, then that means I should be doing it. And I developed this pattern then of my intuition saying, oh, it scares you, it feels wrong, then that's the thing that you should do. And okay, that works if you're a bit of a, masochist, which I guess I am. But I'm starting to, as I uncover and unpack all of the emotions that keep me hijacked, and stressed out, I'm able to hear my intuition better. And now it's, what makes sense to me? Intuition is almost like, well, what makes sense to you? Not what anybody's telling you or what you feel or if you're scared, but what makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And when we do get into those negative emotions of sadness, anxiety, depression, feeling, everything happens to me, that mentality that, that, you're attracting, you have bad luck, that, and when you get into that vortex, that negative vortex, that's when intuition kind of just gets turned off. And so being able to get really good at opening up that space again.
When you say negative vortex, what do you mean? Can you give me some examples? I love the language.
Yeah, that's a way I look at it, because I think of it as a negative spiral. Like you just keep spiraling down into this negative, I call it negative vortex, this underground world where you have a hard time climbing yourself back out of there. Mm-hmm. And but when you can get really good, like if you are in that negative world more than you're not, getting really good at turning it around into a positive framework can really pull you out. And once you have done,
so I'm gonna pause for a second, because I'm sitting here thinking about the women who are watching this and like, oh yeah, they have a lot of negative framework. They have a lot of beliefs or ideas that are coming up. And so everybody, I encourage you, to get it out of your system, put in the chat some of the negative ideas, negative framework, negative beliefs that keep you not intuitively making good choices for yourself. So, you know, when you get a chance, everybody in the chat, and when it catches up, because the video will take a second to catch up. When it catches up, I'll start telling you some of the things that they deal with, some of the beliefs. What were some of the beliefs that you had to deal with that were part of your negative framework? What did you have to work through?
Oh, I had a lot. I had a lot. I had, you know, I'm not lovable. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Nobody, I have nothing interesting to say. Nobody will listen to me, or I'm not pretty enough. I had the whole gamut of stuff. I had a lot going on in my childhood that kind of created this framework for me. And it kept me small for a long time, because
What were some of the things? I mean, can you share some of, you know, what your childhood was like, just to the degree you want to?
okay. Well, I had a speech impediment when I was younger. Like, I think there's a history to why that speech impediment occurred, but I'll just start there. So I had a speech impediment. And so I never, because my parents didn't have a lot of money, they couldn't get me special help for that speech impediment. So I had to wait for the school system to catch up to me. And so I was in grade 3 before I actually learned how to read, and how to talk. Like, and so I was so far behind in the school system. I was about 3 to 4 years behind the rest of the kids, because I had that delayed. I couldn't say certain sounds. And so, you know, I would, my sister was 5 years older than me, and I couldn't say T's. So I called her, her name was Terry. I called her Lala. So here is a, you know, grade 2, grade 3 person running around. She's 13 and I'm calling her Lala. And so, you know, that, I mean, for her, that was devastating. And for me, it was devastating. And it created a lot of internal turmoil for me. And so I always felt I was struggling. When I got to grade 8.
Do you think everybody blamed you? Do you think your family blamed you at all? And I'm not saying they did. I'm just curious, you know, for the burden, or, you know, the fact that you weren't, you know, what they wanted, maybe.
Yeah, like, I don't know if it was so much that. When I said, like, I skipped to grade 3, but when I was born, I think it all started because I was an accident. And my mom thought that she couldn't have children. Not that she didn't want to have children. She had one child, but she didn't think she could have more. So they adopted a foster child that they had been raising for a while. But then when she got pregnant, the foster child had to leave. And because my parents didn't have enough money to support 3 children. And so my sister was 5 years old when I was born. And so her interpretation of the situation, not that anybody was wrong in this situation, but it's just the circumstances that happened. And
Yes.
so my sister blamed me from day one for her friend, her best friend, leaving. And my mom was devastated because she felt so much guilt having to send that little girl back to a foster care. And so there was a lot of stress, even at the time that I was born, to, you know, not being lovable, not being, you know, not being wanted, because, you know, I was always an embarrassment kind of thing, to my sister and that. So I think, like, a lot of that turmoil, that's why I think a lot of that turmoil might have been why I was a slow learner as far as speaking and all that. So.
Wow. You have really sort of turned things around for you and your generational story, you know, stuff that's been going on in your family for a long time.
Yes, yes. And I think it's only because I tend to push through. You know, you were talking before about just pushing through that barrier, and you know, and just going to the next level, always pushing myself to the next level. When I was in grade 8, my teacher at the time told my parents that I was not university grade material. And I had my head set on that I was going to university. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I was going to university, but my marks didn't show it. And my teacher said, there's no way, she'll never succeed. And so my parents said, okay, your teacher says you can't do this. You have to go on, because at that time we had a college route and a university route. You have to go the college route. And I said, you know what? No. I said, give me grade 9 and see what happens. And I did. I pushed through. And then when I got to we had grade 13 at that time in Canada. When I got to grade 13, I graduated top of my class. I got, the Functions and Relations medal, one of the math classes, for the highest grade. And I went on to the best university for mathematics in Canada. And, coming from that space where I had started, where I had that speech impediment, it was just the push and the drive and the not letting things defeat me, even though, the odds were against me. And that's what I encourage people to do. Just push through the discomfort.
Now you've also realized, like I have this last year, because Tina and I are in the same coaching program, so we've gotten a lot of the same tools. You've learned, like I have, that we don't need to push as much as we used to. For me, what would happen is I constantly felt like I was carrying an anchor on my back. My body always felt weighted down by emotions, and by stress, from my past.
Yes.
And so I had to be superwoman, for a long time. How do you keep showing up and doing what you're supposed to be doing when you feel like you can hardly breathe and you can't eat and, you're constantly in that space? And realizing that I don't have to feel that way anymore, that there are like these shortcuts. We don't have to power through losing weight. We don't have to join, the Biggest Loser and be yelled at by a drill sergeant. We don't have to abuse ourselves anymore in the name of being healthy, because that's some of the most unhealthy things that you can do.
Yeah, and it's true, so true. Like people want, when it comes to health or weight loss, they want that quick fix. And that never transfers into anything good in the end. Nothing worthwhile is a quick fix. You kind of just go with your intuition of what feels good. You make changes along the way, and you do what makes sense for you is the best way to make change and make sustainable change for the life, for life. A lot of my clients will come to me time and time again. They're in that roller coaster of weight gain and weight loss and weight gain and weight loss. And every time they gain weight, they gain a little bit more weight. And then, so they're constantly.
And Dina made a mention of that in the comment a little bit earlier, that was one of her struggles, is that she would lose the weight, but then she'd gain it all back.
Right. And that's because there's some dialogue going on in the subconscious mind that when she does reach her goal, her mind is saying, oh, I shouldn't be here, for whatever that talk is, And
it could be just a memory from the past. I mean, I find that it's weird, random memories that I decided meant something. It meant I wasn't lovable. It meant that I had to be, have weight problems. It meant that. And then I just never went back and cleaned it up. I just never, I never took the time to turn that flashlight onto that part of my life and say, all right, let's get some help. Let's look at this. Let's listen to my intuition and actually process through the things that are holding me back. I think a lot of other stuff gets in the way. Like I didn't build my business for a long time. I mean, I struggled with it, but I couldn't focus on it because I had all this other stuff getting in the way. And I came last. my dreams and my goals weren't important enough to me to fight for them enough that I would set boundaries and I would yell back and I would feel and process through these emotions, sometimes very dramatically. There was all this stuff in the way to being able to be healthy. I mean, did you ever find that in your life?
Yeah, like I find that all the time, and it's only been in the last couple of years that I've really worked through, because I didn't really have that connection to myself. I wasn't paying attention to, you know, the whispers that, you know, that were kind of nudging me along the way. And what I found when I started to get really successful with my health is when I started to do that inner work and get connected with my intuition and really kind of figure out what are my thought processes and why do I have those thought processes, and how, you know, how can I change them to something
I
that's
think
more positive?
that's the key question, is because, you know, we all kind of know. I mean, I know my stories. I know my stories backwards and forwards. I'm tired of my stories. You know, I always got stuck because my story would come up. Yep, there's the story, but there didn't seem to be anything that I could do about it. You know, the story would come up. I'd watch the story, and I'd still feel nauseous or anxious or uptight or frustrated or walking on pins and needles. I mean, I still felt that way, even though I knew what the thing was, you know, where it came from, and I'd obsessed about it. How do you break through that part? How do you know what to do when you feel trapped in those emotions and reactions and triggers?
Yeah, one of the things, like when I first started to do this work, I started with the I am statements. And I'd say, you know, I would chant them. I am, I am, I am. And I couldn't understand why it wasn't working, because everybody said, say affirmation statements, right? And it was because I had a disconnect between my conscious mind and my unconscious mind. My unconscious mind was saying, that's not true. And my conscious mind was trying to say, yes, it is true. And until I could change the unconscious mind to be in agreement with what I was saying, change just wasn't happening.
So you, from my point of view, what happens is when we have an old memory that keeps triggering us emotionally, but the other parts of us still grow up, but these, you know, some parts of us stay trapped in that age or that memory, there ends up a bigger and bigger and bigger highway almost between the two, you know, the memory and the emotion and who we are now. And eventually that split gets so big and so uncomfortable that we have to do something about it, because we can't get anything done being that divided, being so separated.
Yeah, and you'll notice too, like, you know, if something just small kind of triggers you to blow off the handle, it's not because of the event that just happened. It's because it triggered a childhood memory. And so you go into that childhood response.
And you don't even always know what the memory is.
Exactly.
You know, you just know that your body's reacting and you don't really know why. And so we start to blame everything else around us, desperately trying to find the reason why our bodies aren't doing what we want them to do.
Right. So that's why doing the inner work and just kind of touching inwards to what is the dialogue? What are you thinking about? How are you thinking about it? And just, you know, one thing that I've found very useful is to accept or embrace the negative emotion and say, you know what, I'm not going to blame, shame, or make wrong of this negative emotion. It is a negative emotion. Where is it coming from? Kind of get, with no judgment, just kind of get in tuned to that emotion and then set it free.
I like to say not to have judgment even about my judgmentalism. So even when I'm feeling judgmental and like, who are they and what do they think? I always pause and I say, oh, that's interesting. I need to haven around that. And I will. I'll haven sometimes all day if I'm going through a tough patch, because it's emotions coming up. And what they're really coming up for are to be loved and respected and embraced and allowed. So even if it seems like a 4-year-old that's throwing a temper tantrum in a grocery store, even though that's what it feels like, we need to not judge it and abuse it and tell it that it's wrong and what are you doing here and what's your problem. Instead, we have to say, wow, somebody wasn't there for you when you were feeling this. Let me be there for you. And that's kind of how we let it go. We feel it and we can release it and love it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a reclaimed part of our soul.
Yeah. And that's why I think solitude, taking the time for solitude is so important. Whoops, sorry. I should have turned off my phone. It's so important to have part of your daily routine, because solitude is when you can kind of connect with yourself, and that's when you can connect with yourself and understand how you tick and accept yourself.
With compassion and love and respect and kindness and care and chocolate and baths and flowers and walks and stuff that smells good and healthy food.
Yeah. And that's when creativity flows. That's when you get into touch with your intuition, your creativity starts to flow. Like for my solitude, I like to go out for a run in the forest. So, but I like to do it alone, because that's when my brain starts, like all these ideas start popping in my head, just like making popcorn. It's like pop, 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 pop. They just come flowing in, so many. And then I have to stop actually and record them on my phone, because if I try to remember them all, I'll forget half of them by the time I get home. But I find that when I'm in that solitude space, that's when clarity happens. It opens up this huge space for opportunity to happen, for possibilities to happen. And it's so key to the growth of you as a person.
Most people would say that they don't like to be alone because they don't know what to do with themselves. That's when they find, they're not distracted from how they feel, from how uncomfortable they are, the thoughts in their head. So a lot of people don't like to be alone. And I think it's because they don't know what to do when those feelings come up.
Yeah. And that's why, just you could even just start with like small time, like 5 minutes, and just say, okay, I'm going to spend 5 minutes just going inward and getting used to addressing or facing those negative emotions. Because right now it may be scary, and the easiest thing is to ignore. That's what's comfortable. If I ignore it, it might go away. But if you can just start to learn how to embrace it and make it part of who you are, because those emotions are part of who you are. But the more that you can embrace it, the quicker those negative emotions will not keep you hostage, right? You'll be able to release them, and you won't be hostage to them. And once you can release them, it will open it up to positive possibilities.
So Dina wants to know if there's a special way to let the emotion go or set it free. Is there a ritual or something that you say or do? So what do you do to help yourself let go of the past?
Yeah, so I would say whatever makes sense for you, because everybody has a different perspective on what letting go means for them. But the way I do it is I kind of push it away. I envision that I'm pushing it away. It's like letting it go into the universe. I don't need it anymore. It's done me good up to now. But I don't need it anymore. It's not serving me anymore, and I'm going to release it.
I've done that before. When I've been in the middle of big emotions, I'll physically push with my hands, I'll push them away from me. I'll give myself some space, from the emotion and say, no, we're going to put you over there. And in fact, sometimes it ends up way off in deep space, in the universe, far, far away, opening up some room around me for good things to come in. I get the emotion off of my system, I put it someplace else, and then those good thoughts are allowed to come in because there's space.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that that I do to get more acceptant of the emotion is to find a situation where it's not true. So if I say something like, I'm not lovable, nobody loves me, then finding a situation where I am lovable. Like, maybe there was a friend that you really connected to, that you really engaged with, and they loved being around you. That's an example of, yes, I am lovable. And so once you can prove a situation, when the statement that you've been telling yourself all these years is not true, it can release some of that negative charge.
Yeah, it's like it grows you up. It takes you out of the place of feeling overwhelmed and back into the place of where things make sense and you can find solutions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Another thing that I've done a lot that's really been helpful for me is letting go of judgment. Letting go of judgment, especially for myself. And then starting to live from my heart, my passion, and what's important for me, and not caring if somebody doesn't agree with my point of view, or doesn't agree with what I'm saying, doesn't like what I'm saying. To me, that's not important, because that's their opinion, or that's their space, or their thought process, and that's okay, because we're all different, and we're not on this world to be liked by everyone. And once I let go of that, worrying about what other people thought about me, that was so freeing of a lot of things. And then it opened up a lot of space for me to start doing what truly mattered for me. It opened that space for me to follow my intuition.
Right. That's kind of what happened to me too. When I started to get that stress off of my system, suddenly I could set better boundaries, and I was comfortable setting better boundaries with people. And that gave me the space and the focus and the energy to make the better choices to go towards what I wanted, whether for someone else it's, losing 20 pounds, or for me it's, building my coaching practice. But it's like you get more time and energy because you're not being held back by the emotions. And so you can actually manifest or create things fairly quickly because you don't have to work through your insecurities. So if you want to lose weight, it can actually happen fairly regularly and quickly because you're not being hijacked all the time by other people's needs or emotions or the past, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's so true. But yeah, so just getting more mindful, and doing that inner work can have such an incredible freeing space for you. Like, it can open up so much space for you. And as you said, it can happen so quickly. Like, we stay stuck for so long, and we create all this drama for ourselves. And once you can get away from that drama, and once you can kind of free yourself from all that drama, it's amazing. Like, looking back now, it's like, why did I do that to myself? Why did I create so much pain and suffering for myself? It really isn't that hard to get out of it. Once you learn how to get out of it, then it's not that hard. And I look back now and I think, gosh, I wasted 50 years of my life.
Right. That's exactly what it feels like. It feels like you wasted, we wasted not just 6 months, not just it was a bad year, but I felt like I had wasted my entire life.
Yeah, I say that
because I
wasted.
didn't do this. But I mean, I know I still achieved a lot in that time, but I didn't enjoy it because I was all freaked out all the time and I couldn't get anything really done because there was so much weight on me.
Yeah, yeah. And like I do, like I don't, like I really am glad my history happened, because I wouldn't be where I am today doing the things that I know I can impact the world with. So I love all those futures pasts of me, because they built on me and created the person who I am today. So it wasn't a total waste. I say waste, but
right. But it felt that way. But I'm glad that I'm here where I'm at because they were important lessons I needed to learn about life and how life works. And yeah, I totally get it. So we'll have to wrap up. Couple things. Would you be willing to go back to the YouTube and comments, because there are a few questions in there that people have for you, and that would be, if you could, that would be great.
Okay, yeah, not a problem. I would love to do that.
Yeah, and then everybody's kind of doing a giveaway for the top engagers. So is there something you'd like to offer the women if they talk a lot today with each other and figure out how to come over to YouTube and get it all sorted out and stick with us?
Yeah. So I'd love to give them a 1 month access to my High Vibe monthly membership program.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So this program, it's all about raising your vibration. So it's raising the energy. So we do meditations, we do exercise, we do nutrition classes, we do coaching classes. So some laser coaching. So yeah, we meet about 3 to 4 times a week for the month. And so I'd love to give that away to one of your
Wow, what a great way to jumpstart something too. I mean, to do a month of really being intense. I mean, that totally gets you, now is the time to do it. Oh my gosh, now would totally be the time to do it.
Yes, and being in that program can give you that jump start for sure, to project you maybe quicker than you would be able to do on your own.
Well, way quicker, because when you get the support and the care and the good coaching, when you get people who can kind of help you through this stuff and hold your hand while you're doing it, it makes all the difference in the world. Me trying to heal or evolve as a person, if I had done it, it's not possible by ourselves because we can't get out of our own head. We need help from people. We need a community. Yeah. We need friends. We need somebody who knows what we're going through, somebody who can actually help us. It's all the difference in the world when people start getting help, because otherwise we just get trapped in our own insanity, and it's 100 times harder because we don't know how to get through our blocks and our emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had quite a few people go through the program, and they've seen some really tremendous changes in their lifestyle, and changes that they can continue. There's sustainable changes that will continue throughout their life. So
right, because really they change the person. Yeah, they change how they see the world and who they are inside, and all of that. Cool. Well, cool. When you go to the comments section, if you could leave, like all the contact information so people can find you, that would be awesome. Is there anything else you want to add today?
No, I'm just so grateful that you had me come on today. I love spending time with you. You're so positive. You have so much energy. I love your environment. It makes me feel so cozy.
Me too. That's why I have it. It makes me feel comfortable. So when glitches happen, I don't freak out. It's intentional.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you letting me be part of your community.
Oh, well, thank you. You're becoming a really good friend. I really appreciate it. I'm just so thrilled that you're doing this stuff with me. It's so wonderful having you here.
Yes.
And Dina says, thank you both for doing this. It was so helpful and just wonderful. And she's such a visual person, so this helps so much. Yay!
Dana.
Okay, and then I'll be seeing you later this week too, right?
Yes, tomorrow, I think tomorrow.
Oh, wonderful. I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Cool.
Okay.
So everybody look for Tina tomorrow. See you later.
Bye.
Bye, Tina.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, well, that's exciting. I'm glad everybody found us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this live stream. And in 26 minutes, we'll still be right here on YouTube. 26 minutes, we'll be here. And we'll be talking to Jenny and we'll be talking to Renee. That should be a wonderful intuitive conversation about your power word for 2021 and where that conversation goes. So, okay. You can put anything you want to say on Facebook. I'll see it. I'll find it. We'll get there. You can share. You can comment. That's still the main hub. This is just where you kind of come and watch the videos, at least for today. We'll see if Facebook finds me an abusive narcissist tomorrow. Who knows? All right. I'll see you later. Bye.